Hi, welcome to episode number 3. These are coming around quick every week. So if you've just tuned in or you don't know what this is about, I put it to a vote this week for what we're going to do this time. So the last couple of times we've just been doing CTF teardowns, a couple of CTFs that I've developed in the past. This time a little bit different. We're actually going to develop something from scratch. So this should be interesting. I've got a splitting headache, so I apologise for any mistakes that I make. I'm sure there'll be a few, but yeah, let's get to it. So I did do a couple of polls on Twitter just to see like what we're going to do this week, and then I did another poll as well after we decided we're going to do a CTF from scratch, and we decided on the vulnerability type. So it was split pretty evenly. I think there was 2 SQL injections, 2 IDORs, and 2 XSS. I think we probably all had enough of SQL injections because that's what I've been covering for the past 2 weeks. So I think we'll try like a bit of a vulnerability chain of XSS and IDOR, see if we can make those 2 work together and build like a little challenge out of this. I'm hoping this might motivate people. I've had quite a few people come to me and say, I don't know where to start with a CTF, I don't know what to do. And, hopefully this should push you and show you it's not too hard. With a little bit of web development, you can definitely get something out yourself. All right, let's get rid of this banner first so we can see what we're doing. So before the stream, I've just set up like a little development area on my own computer. I've just called it scratch.test. So I use, on my local machine, I use Homestead, which is basically a development area. It includes it's just basically a virtual machine, but it comes pre-built with like databases, support for PHP and like various, and like it's got Nginx on there and various different languages, and just makes it nice and easy to start with. So I've got that mapped out. I've got that on here. So if I refresh this actually, so failure because it can't see this file at the moment. So let's get that created first. So the IDE that I tend to use is PHP Storm. I think it's a brilliant product. I've used it for absolutely years. For about, 6 or 7 years of my professional development, I used Notepad, which definitely held me behind. It made things a lot difficult. I'm a bit slow to catch up with things, but for the past probably about 5 or 6 years then after that, I've been using PHP Storm. Brilliant tool, really does the job. Right, so like I say, I've got this mapped out. I'm just going to create a directory in here called public. And in here, let's create the first file, which is index.php. So if we give that a refresh, got a blank page, go for the standard hello world. Perfect. Got PHP working, so that's a good start. Okay, so what I was thinking for this, we could do. So we've got to do some kind of XSS and IDOR on there. So before this started, I was thinking for a few minutes, like how can we possibly combine those 2 things together? I was thinking it'd be pretty cool to do a blind XSS. Maybe we could post some, and we could get that blind XSS working through an IDOR. So maybe we could discover an IDOR which updates something, but on that update endpoint, that's actually vulnerable to XSS. So we get another user then visiting it, and then we can make them execute whatever JavaScript we want. Usual scenario for these things is grabbing like a cookie or something like that. So then we can like log in as that user. So I suppose, starting off on a complete blank canvas, I usually use a framework, but I wanted to kind of start this from the very beginning, so like people can read it. They don't have to be used to my framework or anything like that. And hopefully it'll work. So like I say, we'll do some kind of login area. I'm thinking we'll have a login, we'll have login registration, and then we'll have like an update profile area or something. So let's let's have a look at that. Yeah, if anyone's got any questions, just feel free to jump in, like send anything. I might go a little bit too fast because I do this as a day job. I kind of forget where everybody's up to on here. But I've got like a question already. Adam, may I know when you first was developing CTFs and how did you get into this path? So I started developing CTFs about 2 years ago. So predominantly my history has been web development, although it did start in security probably in around the late 90s, just like messing around, not real like security jobs or anything like that. But I've always been really into security. So I've always had this like web development side to me and security side to me. And I've kind of gone from one extreme to the other, but never like the paths have never kind of crossed until a couple of years ago. I kind of saw there was a market for realistic CTFs, ones that really operate like a real website does. So I kind of like I got really into the bug bounty community and kind of seeing what was on offer for them. There was no like real good CTF like full-on websites on there where you could do like recon, DNS enumeration, subdomain enumeration, things like that are really important, and having like realistic challenges in there as well. Started doing that, really got into it, started building that out, then started working with HackerOne to develop some of their competitions and events, then done odd contract work with them for more events and also content for Hacker 101 as well. Did a few other events for a few people, and then started working for TryHackMe a few months ago. So it's kind of finally found my niche now, the balance between security and CTF. So it's really nice. Thanks for the question. Okay, so let's jump back to this. So yeah, like I say, let's build a login area first. Usually on my framework, it makes it nice and easy because I've got like routes on there, so I can map things. I've got template in engine, things like that. So it's going to be mega crude on this one. So let's make it nice and easy. So let's create some new files. Let's go for login PHP. Okay. By no means is this how I would usually develop, but we're against the clock. Let's just start with a nice simple HTML template. Okay, let's put in a div container. Let's call it login box. Let's start with the input fields. So let's just go for the user. So name, user, name, password. So I'll be interested to see what we get out of kind of around the end of the hour. I imagine it's not going to look very pretty, but we'll hopefully get something which is fully functioning as a CTF, and then we can update it afterwards. I'll put this code as well on my GitHub, so you can download it yourself. You can play around with it. Change that into a form. So we're just creating a nice simple post form on here. We'll try and make it a tiny bit pretty. Out of interest, anyone who's watching the stream at the moment, if they want to comment, does anybody do like any web development at all? They've got an idea of what I'm actually doing at the moment. I'm just adding a tiny bit of CSS into there just to try and make it a little bit prettier. And let's just centralize that. Okay, cool. So if we were to put in like a dummy username and password into here, so let's just go for admin and password. Now what we need to do on there, we need to set that type. Oops. Admin password. Okay, so there we go. We've got a fully submitting form there. Okay, so we can actually have a nosy at what's been submitted to there. So if we go to the top here, we'll just open up some PHP and we'll print out the post variables. So these are the from the form that's been sent in. So let's hit refresh on there. And there we go. So we've got the user that equals admin and password equals password. So we need to create some kind of like trigger event. So when it sees that username and password being entered, we can then check that against the list to see whether it is in fact a valid username or password. Okay, is this a particular CTF or a developer right now? Will it be published? So this is definitely not going to be a CTF that I'm going to be like properly hosting. I'm thinking next week. Somebody asked me on Twitter whether I could show kind of from scratch like getting your own CTF onto TryHackMe. So I think next week we'll take this CTF and I'll show you how to build it into like a proper virtual machine and how you upload that to TryHackMe, and then like how you create a room and put questions on there, things like that. So that's kind of the intention with this one. So it's just looking for the event where it sees the username and password being entered. So if we were to echo out right on there, so we see if we load the page normally, you won't get anything on there, but as soon as you put something into these login forms, it pops out high because it's recognised that you've entered the username and password. So let's work out how we're going to do this user management on here. So I found with like a really small scale CTF like this, especially one that's not going to get hammered or one like we're going to put on TryHackMe, and it's only one box per person, so it doesn't matter too much. We can actually create a just like a text-based database instead, like a file-based database. It just makes it so much easier. So let's create a data folder, file, and let's just call it users.json. Just put blank array in there at the moment. But using this login page as well, we can quickly duplicate that as well, and we'll call another one. We'll copy that file and call it register. Okay, so now this is the register page. So we'll go back to login in a minute because we haven't got anything to log in against, so it's pretty pointless. Register PHP. Register page, and again, we'll just for the sake of ease, we'll keep the username and password, and this will be where it detects it at the top. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to grab this users.json file. So we'll just call it users equals, and then we'll do file get contents, then back up into the data directory, go for users.json. Then we want to encode that from the JSON notation into an actual like PHP object. So we can easily do that with JSON code to make it into an array actually rather than an object. So this is going to just print out a completely blank array when we put something in there. So Adam and password. Okay, so blank array because we haven't got anything in the users file at the moment. So what we'll do first is, so we don't get the same user being added all the time, we'll just do a quick check on what username's in there. But I think actually first what we'll do, so we'll just cast these posts. So user, and we're going to make it nice and easy on this one, and just MD5 hash with the password. And here, just going to do a prog replace. So this is going to strip out any characters that we don't actually want in here. So we'll do lowercase a third, and then 0 to 9. We'll just keep it like that. So anything that isn't those characters, that's going to get stripped out. But that makes it nice and easy, just so people aren't like putting some like absolutely bizarre things into the form, which like potentially it could break the JSON encoding, especially if you sent data which wasn't like UTF-8, and it can mess it up a little bit. But I think we should be fine with that. So if we again, if we just do a quick echo and enter the user, so if we put some characters in, so those ones should be stripped out, so it should just say Adam text on there. Perfect. We stripped those out, so that's made that nice and safe. So right, so we've got the users array of all the current users, which is not at the moment. So we're going to see if inside that users array exists a user with this key. Actually, that's what false, just to make it a little bit easier so it looks nicer. So this is basically saying if the user name that we supplied does not exist in the already list of existing users, then continue with the code, else does this. So we'll just put a quick statement in there. That just stops any further execution of the script. Obviously, if this was a real project, you know, it'd be a nice error message and just completely cut you off. So user. Okay, so now we're going to take that users array and we're going to add to it. So we're going to put our user in there equals array, and then we're just going to put our details in here. So we're going to put so user equals user. And then, like, so we can actually, oh, sorry, that should be password. And so we can actually control sessions on here. We'll have like a unique cookie for each user as well. So if we just call it cookie, make it nice and easy, and then we can just make like a really random on that. So let's stick on micro time, let's stick on just return a little like the server variables on there. Round at the end just for good measure. Okay, so now we've added to that there. If those extra users on there, it'd just be appended to that object. And now we want to write that file back on here. So we'll just do file put contents. We want to re-encode it into the JSON notation, and then users. I specify the file as well. Data users.json. So we'll just give that a test first. So we'll just give it the Adam password. Hopefully, when we're looking here, there we go. Cool, that's added on. So we've got a key name of Adam, and that's how we check whether there's a user existing with that already. And then user details, user Adam, password, and then that's my random cookie. So we obviously want to make this look bad. So let's just black that out again. Oh, I should have actually shown you. So yeah, so let's just refresh that again. So that's the users on there. Now this time, if I refresh it again, it can't add the same user because their username already exists. So let's hit refresh in there. There we go. User exists. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay. So we go back to the user. So now we want to actually set that cookie so we can actually handle the login session. So set cookie. Let's give it a name. We'll just put token. I tend to always call everything token for some reason. And then the value, and that's going to be, that's a good point. So we want this cookie value. So let's take that out there. Call it hash, because if I repeat the same thing, I'm going to get completely different results, which would not be good. Okay, hash. How long we want it to last for, let's just call it an hour. Let's go to the start of the site, and that should be fine. Okay, so usually when you log into something, that's the point where you get redirected somewhere else. So best way of doing that is just by setting the location header. So header, oops. Then we'll call this profile php. Just where your settings are. Now, this is a really interesting vulnerability. It's one that I've included in some things. So when you set that header, that just tells the browser where it wants to redirect to. If you don't do like an exit or a quit, depending on whatever language you're using underneath, it'll actually continue processing the rest of the code. So sometimes when you try and log into something and you get so say if you go into the /dashboard and then you get redirected to /dashboard/login or just /login, it's always worthwhile not relying on what you can see in your browser, because that won't show the extra bit of like information on there. Do a curl request to it, because if the developer's messed up on there, you might actually see the contents of the dashboard before it actually does the redirect. So let's have a look. Things over there. Right, complaining about that. I swear my mouse is jumping all over the place for the last few days, and it just keeps on knocking out code. Right, so again, let's just with that. So register page, so Adam, password, and hopefully we should get a redirect. Brilliant. So we've got a redirect to profile.php. So let's create profile.php. Blank. Right, so like for the profile, we need to actually ensure that the user is logged in as who they should be. So that's first, so we can examine the cookie. So let's just dump all the cookies to the screen. See that token one that I've done. We could do so. If it is that, so this is checking for whether that cookie actually exists. If it is that token, so we'll just so I don't have to keep on typing all this. I can just set it to this variable token here. Okay, now we need to map that token up with the user. So there's no real kind of nice way of doing this with the way I've done it here. There's no like queries or anything for this flat file that I could do. You could obviously make this challenge so much better if you included a database or like SQLite, something like that. Maybe in a future one we'll improve upon it and add those things to it. Just for the moment though, let's grab that users again. Users, JSON. Just print that out just to make sure I can see it. Code. Did not like that for some reason. Just make sure it's actually going in here. Start cooking. Oh. Okay, I've got them there. That's because I can't spell. Amazing how much more difficult coding gets when you're, you know that you've got a lot of people watching you. Right, so now we've got that users object here for the user. So I'm just going to do a loop through that for each. I'll loop through each one of those users and then print out the user information. So just make sure that's working. Cool. Okay, so we're going to look for a match on any of those cookies. So if user equals token, then let's do just a variable of u for user. Say user equals. Okay, so that's basically saying if you're going to loop through all the users, if it finds a match of cookie against like one of those tokens on there, then set user to the u variable. So that would then change it from false to like what would be a positive on there. So then we can do on here. So if you, so it's just doing if you, that's just basically saying if it's anything positive, then we can continue with the code. Else we can let's maybe do it a bit nicer. Let's go back to login.php. Again, exit that out. If it's found a match, it should print the user information here. Oh, gosh, yeah. That's such an ugly way of coding. It does the job. So let's steal some of the content again just to make it easier. Call this profile, and then actually utilize some of that data that's come back and just do echo user. Just say, welcome back, Adam. You need a space there. Okay, and then so on this profile page as well, let's just do center on that as well. Okay, so now instead of the login form, let's have an update form instead. So let's go for value update user. I'll put the username as a hidden field on this form. And then let's have some user information that you can actually set. It's actually set on there in your profile. So this is the thing that we can actually overwrite and put the XSS on there. So let's do div input name equals, let's call it my real name. So once you're logged in, you get the opportunity to then set your name as that. And I don't know if you've spotted it already, but like we're going to start introducing the IDOR from this here. So we've got the hidden field with the name of Adam. Let's just change that again, actually. So it should be name equals Adam and value. Name equals user and value equals Adam. So this is going to actually be the thing that we end up changing on here. That's the thing that we're going to change to another user in order for the IDOR to work, and we can overwrite the user's other information. Because we're going to actually add some more info on that, we're going to overwrite that real name. We need to actually go back. Let's go back to here. We just need to introduce a real name field because we need to actually store that information somewhere. This is the case with CTF. You think you've got an idea, you start building it, you go backwards and forwards, and you're kind of constantly having to update stuff on there. Let's just to make that nice and easy, I'm just going to ditch that out. So if we refresh now, because I got rid of the user information, I'll actually chuck us out to the login page. But let's go back to register. So Adam password. Okay, we're back now. I do not want to store that password. So now if we go back to users, you'll see we've created a new field called real name, and we're actually just going to echo that out onto the page here. So, so input name equals real name, value equals, and then we're going to, like I say, just echo that information out, which will be blank at the moment. So, real name. That was on the register form. The wrong one. Out. Then I tab open now. Here we go. So this is where we could update our own username. So we'll just put in not my full name, for my real name. We'll do update user. So that should send a post form to the profile page. It'll check whether we're logged in first, and then we can actually have a look at this post form information. So this is the confirmation part to say we are logged in. So that's matching its founder user. So let's just do, and let's print out these post forms here, just so we can see that it's definitely sending them. Okay, so we've got the form, we've got a user, and then we've got the real name, Adam. So what we'd have at this stage, maybe we would be like a function somewhere, call function update user. Username, and then real name. Say if it's so if it sees the post user form, and with the field real name. Do update user. Pass this username and password here. And maybe we'll get it to like refresh the page again, just so it reloads the information properly. So location, profile.php, and quit. So again, this part of the code is authenticating that you've got a cookie and you're logged on as this user, and then it's seen that you've entered in the profile form on there. It's seen the user field, it's seen the real name field, and now it's calling an update user. But instead of it using your actual logged in user, it's using the one that's been supplied by the form instead. So this is where it's all going to go a little bit wrong. So again, let's we can actually copy quite a lot of that code block over. So again, this is going to scan through the user's JSON file. It's going to keep on going through until we've got, instead of cookie, let's match it again. So when the user, it's called user, let me just double check. Actually, we could do it differently on here because we'd use the key name for the user instead. So we could do if it's user's username, so that checks whether the username is found in there, and then using that we can overwrite real name equals real name. We just need to save that file. Do file contents, directory users.json, and then our users object, and that's just JSON encode that again. Okay, so fingers crossed, if we run this, it should. Perfect. That's exactly what we're doing. So now when we come back, it's keeping Adam Langley in there because it's actually saved that to here. So we've got Adam Langley. So this is where we can start playing about a little bit, because we can see whether, so as an attacker, when you come across something like this, you will try, maybe you might think, oh, I wonder if this form's vulnerable. You might try, you know, like various different injection attacks, and one of them being XSS. So let's try some XSS in there. So we'll do script alert. Get to alert. Try. Yeah. It's a bit bigger as well, just to make sure people can see. Okay, so now I've updated the user, but as you can see, it has saved it. It saved it as script alert true, but because it's been shown in an input field, let's have a look at the source code of there. It's stuck in this value section, so you actually need to escape from this input box to actually do it. So what we'd look to do is we'd close the value, then we'd close the input field, then if we update again, brilliant, there we go, we've got our XSS popping up, so that's working fine. Okay, so that's the first job. Let's just to make life easy, let's okay, so we'll just set that back again to blank, or I'll just put my Adam in there or something. Okay, and just as kind of a bit of a like proof of contact, we'll just go through that again. So we'll go to register.php, and then let's come up with a new one. So we'll go for Bob. Okay, and now we're in Bob's instead. So let's have a look. So you can see Bob's data on here as well. So if we open up Inspector, go into the form, and then here again where we've got so name equals user, value equals Bob. So instead, let's actually change that to Adam. So when it submits this form, it should actually change it for the user Adam instead of Bob. Let's go into here. Let's update that. So that's fine. We want that to come back blank because we're viewing Bob's data. But if we go back into here, we can see real name has actually been changed to hacked instead. So because there wasn't any proper validation going on with that form, you've seen how quickly and easily you could end up writing over other people's information. So we just need to add a few more things to this form. So let's just go back here. So we'll have to go back to let's go back to our login page because we'll need that. So login.php. We've got our users and our password. Okay, so again, let's we'll just steal some code from here just to make it quick. That's going to check. So this is the login form is that's receiving the username and password that somebody's just entered. We're going to check in the users object whether that user exists. So if it exists, what we'll do, we've got the user object, and now we just need to match against whether the password is actually correct on there. So if users, then we want the password key from that object, and if that's equal to the MD5 hash of the password that's been entered, echo the word login on there, so we can just give it a test and just make sure that's working correctly as it should do. So I think we've got Adam and then password. So fingers crossed. Valid array key. Okay, I wonder if we've it's just pass actually. It's all right. Brilliant. I've got the login thing there. So if I did Adam and something else, you can get that on there. In fact, what we'll do, if it's the text of the form and you've got it wrong, we'll just do a die. Invalid. Okay. Now we'll set the cookie on there. We'll use the same as like the registration form. And we'll get the already existing cookie from the user object. Oops. So double check and make sure that's what it is. Yeah, cookie, that's fine. That's the profile Php. Let's exit that out. Okay, so if we do this time. So if we log in now, as we know before, we got Bob to log in, and then we managed to change Adam's real name on there to hacked. So fingers crossed, when we log into here, brilliant, we've got hacked. Okay, so obviously we worked out before that XSS works as well. So we could have launched some JavaScript from there instead and done something. So what I'll do, I'll just create a quick, let's call it logout.php. So we can kill that cookie just so it's easy to jump between users. I'll just set minus time on that as well. Go back to PHP. So let's just go to okay, so again, let's just log in as Bob. Okay, Bob's back in. Again, like before, we're going to update this form. Obviously, if you were like using like burp on here, instead of doing this, we could proxy it. We could grab that request and just change it in there. It'd be mega easy, but I'm just not set up for that right this second. Okay, change that to Adam. So we're going to change Adam's again. So we're going to jump out of here. We're going to set Adam to alert. Document. Okay, so update that user. So Bob should have just updated Adams. Let's log out of there, log back in again. Right, there we go. Now it's showing the cookie on there. So this will be the point where you could extend on that JavaScript. You could actually pass that that cookie out instead to another source. I'll quickly show you that. Actually, it'd be pretty useful to see. So just do the log out from PHP. Back in as Bob. So yeah, instead of just doing the script document alert, because obviously that's not going to do much good for us. Yeah, document.write. I'm just going to make a small image on here, set source. So this will be our, so we'll go to http attacker.com/ and then we'll steal the cookie information from here. So this would actually mess up because there is like spaces and invalid characters in there. So we actually need to base64 encode this. Okay, hopefully, I think that should be right. Let's give that a go. So let's log out. Log in as Adam. So what I'll do, I'll just open the network tab, and then we can actually see any requests going on the background there. So let's see. Oh, right, okay. It hasn't. Oh, I think I forgot to change the username on there. Sorry about that. Yeah, change it to Bob instead. But you know what? Save me doing it again. You can see from here. So each time Bob, unfortunately, he's done his XSS on himself rather than the target. So each time you refresh the page, you can actually see it loading this external source, which is the cookie, and that is the base64 encoded cookie there. So if you to grab that, and then if you to $65, that wouldn't be this. Got it, there we go. Token, and that's the token that's been passed. So that'll be the way that you'd actually exfiltrate that other user's token out of there. So that's like kind of the CTF done at this stage. What we can do now is actually we want to be able to host it somewhere. So like I say, it's really crude, it's really basic. If this was a proper CTF, I'd be spending hours or days getting this looking a lot nicer than it actually does. So what we'll do is let's we'll just clear this out. So I suppose the idea is like we'd have like some kind of theme to the CTF or some kind of like a mission for the user to do, and that would be like log in as the admin. So let's so we'll just clear this out here. we'll create a user account. So, log in. Let's register.php. We'll call it admin. Okay, and then we'll just put a load of random characters in so we don't know what that password is. Okay. And then we want it, if the user successfully logs in as the admin, we want it somewhere to display a flag. And that way we can actually see, like we can give something like to the user so they can prove that they've actually managed to do that. So if we just quickly go back to profile.php, and maybe on here, we'll just do a quick if statement. So php if user equals admin. So that means it will only show it for the admin user and no other users. Just go to h4 tag, and then because we're going to put it on try hack me later on, we'll do that. Does anyone in chat think of a good flag name at all that we can choose to put on there? So we call it Scratch at the moment. Oh, ridiculous. If I scratch that itch. So if we refresh that, there we go, got that flag. Let's just center that so it's nice. Perfect. So that's done. I suppose all we need, because the index page is blank at the moment, we just need some kind of garbage on here, basically, just to say welcome to this site or something. Welcome to this super secure site. You can register here or log in here. Do some links to the register.php. And login.php. And okay, I should really add some more navigation, make it nice, but let's not do that at the moment. Okay. Just if anyone was wondering why I've got this data, so I've got the public directory. So this is the web root. So these are all the files that the public can actually view. So we've got index, login, logout, and stuff. But because data is in the directory behind it, that means that user information isn't available. If for some reason we'd actually decided to host it in the public one instead, then we'd have this data and we would have the users.json. So you could actually just go on here and do users.json, and then you just downloaded all the information. So that's why we host it in a non-readable place. So let's just ditch that. And obviously that data directory will take you about 2 seconds to find if with lots of foff or any automation tool you're using. Okay, right. So that is pretty much it. Let's so I span up a server earlier. Haven't done anything to it yet, just so I can show you how to quickly get like a web server working on that. So this now we can actually put this into the public. So let's SSH onto the server. So let's just run a quick update. Like I say, it's set up with a brand new server, so we just need to quickly do the update. Okay, perfect. So let's install Nginx. So we've got a web server on there. Let's install PHP. I think just for the moment, that's the only thing that we need to run. So let's just install it. It installs really fast. If you take that IP address and pop it in here in a sec, you'll see that we've got the website running. Just 1 second. Like I say, I'll in a few weeks, I'll actually, maybe next week, I'll take you through actually trying to host something on TryHackMe instead. Because that one takes a little bit longer than just kind of spinning this machine up. I didn't want to make this like a 2-hour session, so it could certainly take a lot longer. Just taking time at the moment. Perfect, that's finished. So if we view that IP address in here, we should just get the Nginx default thing. Perfect. So let's site's enabled, and let's just edit the Nginx default configuration. Just need to make a few changes on this. So firstly, we want it to run index, the PHP pages and index. So the root of it is going to be var www/html, and then we'll do /public on top of that to enable PHP on there as well. Then try files is basically, I shouldn't actually need it for this one. It's basically for root in your PHP. So if you say if you want to do like custom roots, so you could have like /hello or something, you wouldn't actually have that file on your server. Instead, it'd redirect to index.php, and then it's got something built into it which detects you're looking for hello, and it runs some other code. But that's something for another day. So let's run that in there. Just do a config test, make sure it's all right. Yes. Yeah, let's restart that. Okay, brilliant. So that's changed the public folder, so that's why we're getting that not found message there. Now we can actually move some of this code base over. So let's open in terminal. Okay, let's move so we can use SCP to move it over, makes it nice and easy. So we'll make it recursive, so it downloads all the extra folders on there, on everything. So it's root. That's supposed to be the IP address. www.html, so that's where we're going to put all the files. So that's correct. Okay, so that should have moved all the files over. If we we've got the data folder, we've got the public folder. One thing we need to make sure is that we've got permissions to update that data folder, because as you can see, it's currently down as root at the moment for owning that. So we'll just quickly change the owner of everything in here. Recursive actually. Perfect. So if we refresh, there we go. We've got the website all working. So you can actually visit that one yourself as well. Just pop it into the chat. So if we try and register, actually, so we should already have an admin user on here. So if we try and register admin and whatever, user exists, and we get that error message. So that's absolutely perfect. That's working as it should be. So I suppose the other side to this now is some kind of automation, because obviously if we're changing another user's information, then how do we trigger it to actually view that page? And this is where we can use Headless Chrome. So Headless Chrome is a brilliant tool. It's basically your Chrome browser, but it runs just kind of the core features. It doesn't, you can't actually see the browser itself. It doesn't really run in the background, but it's kind of just runs invisibly. So there's a great Docker that we can actually download for that. So firstly, we'll just need to install Docker on here. So install IO. Okay, just what's going through. So one of the issues as well is using Docker, we want it to automatically, each time you make, say, an update to that admin user, we want it to run we want basically to simulate the admin logging on and viewing his information. So we'll have to just quickly, we'll go back to some code in a minute. Right, okay, that's installed. So make sure I can, when I call this, it's actually coming back. Brilliant. Okay, so locally, we'll just jump back to local again, and what we want is like some kind of auto login feature. This is just going to be used for the Headless Chrome part of it, so we can just pass it like a secret URL that it hits, it gets the cookie, and then it actually views the content. So we're going to call it secret page.php. Obviously, you'd never call it that in real life. So secret page.php. And like the login. Secret page. Okay, so it's going to grab the users. Instead of it like a form going to it, we're just going to select, we're going to cherry pick the admin user out of that form. Oh yeah, we don't want to compare the password because we're not supplying one. We're going to auto login. And so it's that. Oops. Okay, so it's grabbing the admin user, getting the admin cookie, it's setting it, and then it's going to redirect to profile.php. So let's save that. So hopefully when we refresh this page, you should see it get the profile and us be logged in as admin. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. Okay, like I say, we need that kind of trigger to then run that on there. So what we can do is the following. So this isn't going to work locally. So so this is kind of where you get really hacky and just do whatever you need to do to make this thing work. So let's go back to the profile page. And instead of it doing it for every single user on there, we can see when the admin has been set on there. So do username equals admin. This is where it runs the Docker container running Headless Chrome, and it's going to view our website on here. And we want the secret login. Okay. just need to change this IP address as well to the public IP address server, because if you did 127.0.0.1, that would actually be the local host of the Docker container rather than the website itself. Duplication on there. Okay, so this is the command that is going to run. What we'll just do, we'll update the, we'll push this code again back to the server. I don't know if that's going to echo something that I don't want on there though. Yeah, well, actually, give us an error because we haven't got that installed locally. But let's just move this code back over. Okay. Let's just grab this. Then we can just give this a quick test and we can see whether this is actually working. So let's make a terminal window. Okay, so because it's the first time we're using it, it's just got to download this Docker container first. It's a hosted one. Okay. I don't know if that's actually worked. I don't think it has. Okay, right, so getting Google pages. This looks 101.86.214. For some reason it doesn't like that one. Oh, right, okay, I think it's just not found the page. I'll just double check. So secret. Ah, okay. Because it's a secret page, that's why. Right. Let's try that again. So change it to secret page. Secret page. Let's update that. Let's grab the terminal window. Brilliant, there we go. So that's the Docker instance logging in automatically and viewing that. So if we were to actually inject XSS onto it, it'd actually run properly on that Headless Chrome. First thing we need to do though is we just need to ensure that the Nginx can actually run this first. So to do that, let's just do sudo and then okay, so we get a permission denied on there. So to get around this, we add the www data user into the Docker group. And hopefully that should do it. So I've just copied that command earlier. But yeah, so Docker Nginx can now run that. What I'll do, because it doesn't always pick up its update, I'll so there's Nginx. I'll just restart Nginx on there. Okay, so right, what we'll have is I'm just going to load up a separate window with a listener on there as well. Come down or no? Just just log into another server that I use for quite a lot of things. Okay, so I'm going to use Netcat. Actually, what might be easier? I'm just going to grab a HTTP login tool. Obviously, you could use like Burp Suite or something for this. I'm just going to I always forget the name of this website that I want as well. That's a request bin. So request bin just basically, it gives you a unique URL, and that's just for you, and then you can post information to there and it'll show up on here. So I think, fingers crossed, I think that should be everything. So let's go hit the logout page. Okay, so if we were playing this CTF from scratch, we'd come to the website. We know we've got to get the admin user somehow, so we'd create our own account. Call it Adam. Set a password on there. Okay, welcome back, Adam. Okay, and then we want to steal the admin user's cookie. So let's reuse that. And then we can use this request bin URL to grab that information. Okay, so fingers crossed, and then if we just inspect the element, change Adam to admin. Okay, so working on network. So if we update that, so that's that post request. Okay, so it's sent the user admin and it's sent that. Question is it going to launch it in the background? So it should have recognized admin in that form, and then at that point it should have run this Docker script. That's just now this is the point of obviously debugging your CTFs to make sure everything is working correctly. So let's just paste that in there. Okay, so there's our script. So we closed that, we opened the script, we did document write, image, SSC. That should have. Oh, there we go. Yep, there's the request actually. Is it coming through? And then on the URL. Oh, I think it's automatically decoded it for us. That's nice. Oh no, sorry, it hasn't. It's here. So we do base 64 decode. There we go. There we've got the token. So then, that's my terminal window. So just to make this easy, just open up a new terminal window with a curl request. We'll set a header of the cookie. Token equals that, and then HTTP. Then our server is 46.101.86.214, and then profile.php. So this is going to hopefully view the profile page. but using the admin user's token instead. So fingers crossed we should actually get the flag. Perfect. There we go, we've got the flag. So that is a working CTF. Right, I think I'm going to call it a day there. I hope everyone's enjoyed that. As per usual, feel free to ask me any questions you want. Just contact me on Twitter or on Twitch or just wherever you want. I'm always happy to help. Hope it's been useful to people. And yeah, let's it should be good next time. Anyway, we'll try and get this onto Try Hack Me. Maybe we'll extend it a tiny bit so we can ask like a couple more questions on there or something. But yeah, we'll do that next time. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed that. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and see you in that. Thank you.